Hello, hello. Sorry, tech issues. How's everybody doing? Happy Saturday it is today. I'm super excited that you're here. Hello, everybody. Hello, Patty. Hello, Rose. 100 degrees. Oh, my goodness. That's a little warm. Y'all know how I like warm weather, but not that warm. Hi, Linda. Hi, Laurel. Hi, Sue. Hello, Sandra. Welcome, everybody. I'm super excited that you're here. Sorry about that. I was having slight tech issues, so I was a couple seconds late, but we're here now, and I'm so excited to hang out with everybody. And I really appreciate you spending a little time with me here. So I know what it's like to spend time watching someone on the computer on a Saturday, and I really appreciate it. This is like the day, the afternoon that I have free that I'm able to hang out with you guys. So we're really hoping to make these live streams more of a routine. And I have to say, I did say that the first time that I would be live the week after next, and I actually did it. So I stuck to my bargain. I stuck to my plan. So that's very good for me. Now, I always like to give everybody a little bit, Sandra, to pop in, because sometimes it takes a little time to find me, especially when we've got announcements on YouTube, on email, on Facebook, all the things. And while we're waiting, I like to start with an icebreaker question. So our question this week is, what item in your home do you have loads of duplicates of? Something that used to be one, but now is 3, 4, 5, or even more. Now, while we wait, I always like to go first. And for me, mine was spatulas. Not the ones that you flip eggs with, but the ones with the rubber ends. I don't know why they call them the same thing. A spatula with the flat part and then a spatula with rubber end. I don't know why we call it the same thing, but that's what I'm talking about, the rubber ended ones. Oh, yes. I love a good spatula. And for a while, I had loads of them. Big ones, small ones, Disney ones, all the ones. And the funny thing was, until I moved, I never even thought how that number might be more than was realistically needed, right? Because I had a nice crock to hold my tools in. Then I had a great big drawer under my stove that was about this long that could hold even more tools in it. I even had a magnetic strip on the wall, yes, to hold even more tools, right? And since I had enough space to put those things, I believed it was okay to keep that many things, right? And there was no reason for me to get rid of them because I had the space, I had the room, I wasn't struggling with too much. So I was fine with it. But we're going to talk more about that in a bit. So hopefully I'm not the only one that has duplicates of things. I guess everybody's being shy and they're not going to tell me their icebreaker answer. That makes me a little sad. So hopefully someone's brave. Maybe Linda or Rose or Patty or Sandra can share me what you have more than one duplicate of. So spatulas was a biggie for me. Food storage containers, that was a biggie. Laurel said hand lotion for the purse, for the stand next to the chair. I read in on the nightstand. Yeah, hand lotion is a biggie too, especially in the winter, right? Because I think as we get older, our skin dries out a lot quicker, especially in the wintertime when the forced air is going on. So yeah, one in the car, one in my purse, one in my tote, because I have a big tote that I carry to and from the car. Plastic containers. Oh, yes. Organizers. That's another one. I used to buy organizers just to buy the organizer with thinking, oh, I'll find some place to use this. And next thing you know, I have too many organizers. Scissors is another biggie for me. So I used to have so many scissors because you never could have too many. That was my thought process, right? You can never have too many. It's probably good to have one here, one there, and one there. And then when I was cleaning out my junk drawer in this house a couple weeks ago, you may have seen the video on YouTube Shorts. I found 3 pairs of scissors in there. 3. Absolutely no reason to have 3 pairs of scissors all in the same drawer. So yes, that's what we're talking about, those duplicates. Rose said sunglasses. Oh, that's a biggie. Yes. Sandra said cups and mugs. And Maggie said stationery. Oh, notebooks. Notebooks and planners. I love notebooks and planners. Okay. So yeah, I think that's funny how that happens. Most of us don't wake up one morning, right, and decide we're going to collect 15 sets of sheets for our bed, or like me, a drawer full of spatulas. It just happens little by little over the years, right? And that's exactly what today's story is about. Oh, hang on a second. Me too with the organizer, Sandra says. Glass food containers. Yes, that's a biggie. Okay. So before we dive in, if this is our first time meeting, hello. I'm Tracy Lynn, and I created the Right Size Living Method after going through my own downsizing journey because I wanted a practical way to help women create homes that fit the life that they're living today. And today's conversation is one that completely changed how I think about the things we keep in our homes. So let's get to the story part of it. When we sold our house and got ready to move, it'll be 2 years in October this happened. We were forced to live in a temporary spot for a few months because surprisingly, our home sold much quicker than we thought. And we didn't have a new place to move into just yet, right? So we rented a house to get us through the winter. Because when we sold it, I think we put it on the market the beginning of August. It sold like in 8 days. And my husband and I were like so excited it sold so fast. And then we looked at each other and went, we have 45 days to find a place to live. And we had lived in that house for 26 years. So it wasn't an easy task to go from that house to another house. But here's the thing though, even though we were going into a rental house, it was a house, not an apartment, right? I still felt that I had downsized and prepared us for the move and that our stuff was still going to fit in that home, right? And a lot of you probably already know this story. But when the moving truck showed up and our boys and our helpers started loading it, I quickly realized the stuff that we had was never, ever going to fit. Not in the truck and not in the rental we were moving into. So I had to make a snap decision right there in the moment and decide that we were only going to take what we felt were our necessities and put the rest into storage until we could find our new empty nester home, which is where we're at now. Spoiler alert, we found a house. The tricky part was that during that time, oh, did I just freeze? You guys, did I just freeze? Hang on a second. Uh-oh. Can someone comment and let me know if I just froze? Maybe it's just on my end because, oh, okay, good. Thank you, Rose. Because Corey's not here on Saturdays, so I have to run everything myself. I have 3 computer screens going. That's why I keep looking back and forth. And the screen that is similar to what you are looking at completely went black. So that's why I panicked. Okay, I'm sorry. So let's get back to it. So since we sold the house in August, we had to be out by Halloween. That meant we were going to probably be in a rental home throughout the winter because everybody knows the best time to buy a house is not at the beginning or during winter, right? So that meant we were going to be in the rental during some pretty big events like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, things like that, right? And even more trickier, I think that's the right word, was the fact that we still needed to live a normal life, even though we were going to be living in a temporary spot. I still had to work, as did my husband, and we still needed to cook and clean and live and do all the things, right? Because here's the thing, life wasn't going to slow down just because we were living in a rental home. And I remember thinking, how are we going to live a normal life with only a fraction of our stuff? Because back at that time, I said, all right, this is what's going to the rental home, that's going to storage, and I had to make snap decisions on the boxes right then and there. And it was quick and it was hard and it was fast, right? But here's the thing. I have to throw one more wrench in this situation because the rental home we were moving into didn't have a basement, didn't have an attic. So anything extra that I was bringing with me, like things for the holidays that were coming up, needed to fit in this small area of a covered porch. That's all I had. So to say I was worried that I would be stressed out during that time, oh boy, that was an understatement for sure. So I pictured myself driving to storage units every other day, digging through boxes, trying to find something I had forgotten that I absolutely needed to have. I was 100% certain I was going to struggle. Now, like I mentioned earlier, when we packed for those 5 months, we took just enough to live, right? I took some bathroom towels. I didn't take all of them. I took 1 set of everyday dishes and I left multiple sets behind. Yes, I know. We had so many sets of dishes, you guys. I want to say there was 5 sets of dishes that we had, but that's a story for another time. I took just a portion of our pots and pans and a fraction of our bakeware. I took only a basic collection of cleaning supplies. I think I took 3 throw blankets for the family room, 1 for my husband, 1 for myself, and 1 for our dog. Yes, our dog has a blanket. I also took just a couple of food storage containers. Somebody said they had a lot of food storage containers, right? That's where the comments are. That's why I'm pointing. Yeah, I just took a fraction of our food storage containers, right? And I left 2 full boxes, big boxes full of food storage containers in our storage unit, right? And let me just say, when you're forced to put what you own into a box, the amount that you have really does become a harsh reality. So basically, we took just enough to get us through those 5 months, okay? And we didn't know it was going to be 5 months. That's what it ended up being, right? Now, let me just jump in here and say, I also brought some holiday decorations, but again, I only bought a couple of totes. And yes, you might be thinking, well, a couple, that's a lot of totes, right? Oh no, not even close. I had actually over 27 totes of Christmas decorations plus 9 trees, 9. And I love to poke fun at myself and I love to use myself as an example of what not to do. So 27 totes is a ridiculous amount. You don't have to tell me. I know this now. But again, that's another story for another time. Okay, so something happened during that time that completely changed the way I think about all the stuff that we keep. I was so convinced I was going to be driving back and forth to those storage units all winter long, right? I could see it clear as day. I'd wake up on a freezing cold Saturday, fully convinced I needed to find my long-handled tongs or some other crazy, silly item because the day was going to be a total flop unless I had it. And there I would be, snow everywhere, digging through box after box, trying to find the thing I suddenly decided I could no longer live without. Or worse, I'd end up buying another one because I didn't want to deal with that struggle, right? Adding even more to our ridiculous amount of stuff that we were paying rent in our storage units for. So I was sure that was how this was going to go the entire time. But here's the thing. It didn't go that way at all. Sure, I had to go a couple of times, but it wasn't because I was missing all those random things I was convinced I could not live without. Not having those extra things, well, they never really affected my day-to-day life, like not even close. And that absolutely blew my mind because all the worry, all the what if I need this, what if I forgot that, never became the problem I thought it was going to be. And that right there turned into my mic drop moment, one that would completely change my life going forward. And I know that sounds dramatic, but you guys, it was. That moment, that realization, the reason why you're here today, completely changed my entire life and completely altered how I see my home. Because what I thought was not enough turned out to be more than enough for the life I was living right now. Yes, we celebrated Thanksgiving. Then we celebrated Christmas, and I worked comfortably from home every single day. My husband worked. We cooked dinner. We watched TV together at night. Life just kept going. But hold up, it didn't just keep going. It actually got easier. Honestly, it did. It got a heck of a lot easier. That was the part I never saw coming. Having less made life easier. Oh, what a life-altering thought, right? Give me a thumbs up if you agree with that. If you think having less would make your life easier. Maybe you never thought of it before. Maybe now that you're hearing it, you're like, wait a second, this is kind of intriguing. Maybe you're just excited to find out why having less will make life easier. And apparently, I know there's a really big delay now in the stream. Apparently, it's like a good, I thought it was like 6 or 7 seconds. Apparently, it's like 10 seconds. So I'm going to keep talking. But if you, okay, there's a yes. Thank you, Stephanie. Yes. When we moved, I had many mic drop moments, but this one concept, having less, making my life easier overall, my husband's life easier, everybody's life easier, was something that really altered everything for me going forward. Okay, so here's what happened. Cleaning was quicker because I had less stuff to dust around. Cooking was fun again. I used to hate cooking. Ask anybody in my family. I used to say, oh, I hate cooking. I literally hate cooking. Now I actually enjoy it because my kitchen isn't packed to the gills anymore. And I'm not struggling to get tools out because I'm pulling, I've said this before, I pull out a pair of tongs and it's like those circus monkey toys we had as kids. I'm bringing out a spatula and a spoon and can opener. That's not happening anymore, right? Laundry was easier because I could wash everything in one load. That was a biggie for me. Our linen closet stayed neat because we only had the towels inside of it that we actually needed. Putting things away was easier because there was enough room to hold our things. There wasn't stuff piled behind other stuff. There weren't cabinets crammed so full things fell out every time I opened the doors. There was just room. And maybe the biggest surprise of all was what happened up here in my head. My brain, it got quieter. Biggie, right? I wasn't constantly walking through the house thinking, oh, I really need to organize that cabinet. I wouldn't get dressed in the morning going, oh my gosh, I've got to fix this closet. Okay, I'm going to deal with it tomorrow. For the very first time in a very, very long time, I felt like my home was working for me instead of me constantly working for my home. And that changed everything. I liked living this way. It completely changed the way I look at the things I own today because I realized I hadn't just packed fewer things in this rental or in that rental, I should say. I packed less work. So that is another one. Yes, thumbs up all the things. Less stuff means less work. And if this makes sense and you're excited about it, then I'm super excited to see the thumbs up. And the reason why I do that, just so you guys know, so I can take a breath, because as you can see, I get really excited when I talk. My arms go flying. I get really loud. I talk really fast, and I forget to breathe sometimes. So that's why I ask people to say, give me a yes, so I can take a break. Okay. So yes, I think we had a yes come through. Yes, that's very exciting. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everybody who said yes. Okay. Now, here's the thing. I never needed to dig through boxes when we were in that rental to find some kitchen gadget I just could not live without. If I needed to do something and I knew I owned a gadget to do it, I found a different way to do it without the gadget. And that worked just fine. It's crazy how back in the day, our mothers and our aunts and our grandmothers all lived without the gadgets we have today, right? And they lived life just fine. So that's what I had to do. I call it using my MacGyver skills. If I needed to do something like, for example, you need a turkey baster and you don't have one, you use a spoon and you pour the liquid over the turkey. There's always a way to do it. It may not be easier, but it does work. And being able to do it in a different way is going to free up space in your kitchen, which is going to give you a less stressful area, which is going to make cooking and cleaning and all the things easier to do. And it's going to make that room more enjoyable. It's like this big circle that just keeps going round and round. And one thing results in the next and the next and so on. Also, I never needed to go to my storage units to get more cleaning supplies. I took a basic cleaner, an all-purpose cleaner, and I used it for everything. And it worked just fine. It even worked on the windows, like not the windows, the mirrors in the bathrooms. All-purpose cleaner worked right on the bathrooms. Absolutely fine. It worked in the sink. It worked in the tub. It worked on the kitchen counters. It worked fine. I didn't need all these specialty cleaners. I just needed that one. It was fine. I never needed more food storage containers. You know, the ones I left in storage? I took, I think maybe 10 with me. It was probably fewer than that, which is a huge downgrade from what we had. And I never needed any more. And the best part is I still have that same amount in this home. And I've never needed more, not once, not at all. And that was a big realization. I was keeping all of those extra Tupperware containers, food storage containers. I keep calling them Tupperware containers. I need to stop doing that. I was keeping all those extra food storage containers just in case I needed them. When in actuality, I didn't need them at all. Another big life change. Because my life today, I'm only cooking for 2 people. I don't need these huge storage containers for food, leftover containers, whatever you call them. I don't need those. I don't need them at all. There's only 2 of us. I just need a small one, and that usually does the job. That's when I realized there is a huge difference between owning something and actually needing it. That is a biggie right there. I was keeping all the stuff I needed for an older version of my life, a life when I had kids at home, a busy household, and a large home to care for, right? Now, our life is smaller. And because I have much less, our life is so much sweeter. So here's the lesson in all of this. I think many times we keep things just in case because we're afraid to let them go forever. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to be prepared. The problem happens when all those just in case things cross over from being helpful to becoming overkill. because there's a fine line between being prepared and keeping so much that your home is no longer easy to live in. Now, instead, when you have so much stuff in your house, you're competing for space in a kitchen that's still using 14 rubber spatulas and enough plastic containers to feed a small country, right? That's when we need to stop and ask ourselves, am I keeping this because it supports the life I'm living today? So look in your food storage container drawers or cabinet, whatever it is, and ask yourself, do I need all of this stuff? Do I really need all of it? And if the answer is no, choose the ones that you know you need, the ones that you use over and over. Because I don't know if you're like me. If I'm going to put leftovers in a container, I always reach for the same ones. I always do every time, right? So if you're reaching for the same ones every time, do you really need the ones that you skip over every time? Probably not. And if you get rid of the ones you skip over, you free up space so the cabinet where you keep the ones you do use is easier to utilize. So again, it's that circle that just rolls around, keeping everything running smoothly. Okay, so on the flip side, you ask if you're keeping it because it supports the life you're living today, or are you keeping it because you never considered not keeping it? Now let's back up for just a second, okay? If you've always been someone who keeps things, just in case, I'm not here to tell you you've been doing it wrong, because I did it too for years. Heck, I probably have been doing it for decades. I believe the more prepared I was, the better I was, right? I thought having extras of everything meant I was being responsible. But what if that's not the only way? What if the thing you've been looking for isn't another organizing system to hold all the extra stuff, or another storage solution to hold all the duplicates? What if simply giving yourself permission to think about your things differently is the answer, is the solution you need? What if keeping less isn't about being unprepared? What if it's actually the thing that gives you more freedom? Because many times we've done things the same way for so long that we don't even realize there's another option. And that flip in thinking can change everything. Like, why do we keep 15 sundresses when we only wear the same one or two over and over again? Or why do we keep 10 throw pillows when one or two can make the room feel just as cozy? Because sometimes we hold on to things, I think because we're afraid we'll regret letting them go later, right? Just in case we suddenly decide we do want to wear those black boots with the really high heels that you feel so nervous walking in that you're going to topple over, that someone needs to help you walk in. Yeah, those. But here's what I discovered. The breathing room we gain by keeping what fits the life you're living today is often worth far more than the tiny chance we'll need that item one day in the future. That's what those 5 months taught me. No, nothing terrible happened because I had less stuff. The disaster I was sure was coming, it never came. Instead, what I discovered was that I needed far less than I ever imagined. And once I realized that, I could never look at just in case stuff the same way again. So before we wrap up today, I want to give you a little challenge. Not a huge project. I promise this isn't going to take you the entire weekend, right? I just want you to pick a small spot and test this theory out. Like maybe it's a collection of measuring cups and spoons, or maybe it's your stash of pots and pans and totally random lids that literally don't fit anything anymore. Or maybe it's the shelf in your family room that's covered with so many knickknacks, it takes 20 minutes to dust. Yes, I understand, because I used to have several of those. Take a good look at the area you choose and ask yourself, is this the best amount for my life right now? Or is it all just in case stuff? Remove some of that excess, the just in case items, and see what happens when you create a little breathing room for the things you use. So let's say you have 50 measuring cups. Take it down to one set. What's the worst that's going to happen if you only have one set of measuring cups? You're going to have to wash one out before you use it for a different ingredient, right? Maybe that's a better trade-off than having 10 sets of mismatched measuring cups that you have to continuously dig through to find the half cup. And you never do anyhow, so you have to take a quarter cup and multiply it by 2. So that's what I mean by right-sized living. That's what I mean by reducing the duplicate items, to give yourself a little more looseness, a little more room, a little more space to breathe when you're doing activities. because that's what happened to me in those 5 months that we lived in that rental. When there was less stuff around me, life was a lot easier. Rooms were cozier, and the tasks like cooking, they actually became fun again. And that is what I call right-sized living. And it all begins with a new way of looking at your things and asking yourself different questions. Who knew 5 months in a rental would end up teaching me one of the most important lessons of my life? Now, I hope you find the permission you need to let go of some of the excess. You might just be surprised at how good it feels. And when I say look at a small area, that's how I started this, y'all. I started all of this one small area at a time, right? Because the lessons I learned in my rental, they didn't automatically come with me to this house. I still had all that stuff in storage. I still had to go through all that stuff. I still had to bring it here. But then I worked on one area at a time. I worked in one cabinet in the kitchen, then the next cabinet, then the next cabinet, taking it down to just have the things in it that made sense for how we're living today. And the more I did it, the more comfortable I became with my decisions, and the more confident I felt it was going to work in the next cabinet and the next drawer and the next room and the next spot. So this is your way to give it a try, see if it works, see if it makes sense, and let it ride for a few weeks and see how it changes. So if you don't want to do it measuring cups and spoons, you could do it with your shoes. You could do it with your socks. You could do it with dish towels, pot holders, anything that you know you have a lot of. Like you said in the beginning, some of you said face creams. Some of you said food storage containers. Take it down to a reasonable amount, put the rest in a box, and just put a date on it. You can look at it in 30 days and see how you do with less stuff in that spot for a couple of weeks. I guarantee you it's going to change your perspective. Okay, Rose said, I went through my knife drawer last weekend and got rid of a bunch of them that I never used. Right? I did that too. I had knives that were dull, so dull they wouldn't cut an onion without threatening to take the tip of my finger off, right? And I'm like, I always reach for the same two knives. They're the cheapest knives I own. I kid you not. The same two knives every time. And I just made dinner for tonight before I went live today. And I had to cut up several different things. And I just washed the knife in between each one instead of pulling out a different knife, which is what I used to do at my other home when I had all those knives. So keep the best, keep your favorites, choose the things that you reach for all the time, and let go of the things you continuously pass over. Sometimes that right there can make all the difference in how your room is. Okay. Now, if you enjoyed hanging out with me today and you're thinking, okay, Tracy Lynn, I think I need more of this, I'd love to invite you to join us inside the Right Size Living community. I see a couple of our members here. Sandra's here and a couple more. We start a brand new month on July 6th. And this month, we're going to be working through our bathrooms and linen closets. We just work through one space a month. And July is all the bathrooms and the linen closet or cabinet, whatever it is that you have. And I think that's the perfect project for July because they're not overwhelming, right? July's got a lot of picnics, a lot of fun stuff going on. Vacations are happening. So this is the perfect space for that month. There's smaller spaces that tend to collect all those backups, face creams, lotions, neck creams, which is what I love to buy all the time, all those just in case items. And it's a great way to test out the Right Size Living method and see if it's a good fit for you. You can go to declutterinminutes.com/join to find out more. I think I have a banner. Okay, there. If you go to declutterinminutes.com/join, you shouldn't need the HTTPS. I shouldn't have put that on there. That'll take you to the information page and tell you everything about it. Now, I'm going to leave that up while I'm talking. Before I scoot, just so you know, this is being recorded and this is going to be downloaded into YouTube so you can watch it again if you would like to. Like if you joined us late or maybe you left early, you're not going to know it now because you left early. Or maybe you had a friend that might want to watch this. It's going to be on my YouTube channel and I'm going to be sending the link out in tomorrow's email. So if you're not on my email list, you might want to join my YouTube channel, subscribe to it. Then you'll get a notification when the replay goes live. And hang on, I can put this in the comments, I think. If you want to, if you just click on this and go over, let me see if I can put it over here. Oops. Okay. Yeah, that's my side screen. So if you click on that or copy and paste it, that should take you to my YouTube channel. There's a black subscribe button right next to my face. If it's not there, you're already subscribed, you're good to go. If it is there, click that, then you'll get notification when the replay goes up on the YouTube channel tomorrow. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you so much for spending part of your Saturday with me. I always have so much fun hanging out with you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and a fantastic 4th of July. And I'll see you in a couple weeks for another talk. Okay? All right, everybody. Oh, Michelle said, me too, and spatulas when I always use my favorite, right? When we always use our favorite one. You're welcome, Laurel. Thank you for hanging out with me. You're welcome, Megan. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and scoot. Thank you, Sue. Everybody have a great weekend and a good 4th of July if you live in the States, because I know we have a lot of overseas people. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Trudy. Thanks, Norette. Bye, everybody. Nanette, sorry.